my name is Julie Hamilton, and I'm an encourager and an influencer on social media with Life Builders by Julie Hamilton. Life Builders is simple tips to build a strong and healthy life on. So twice a week, I do live videos that are just a snippet of a topic to really give someone a simple tip that they can build a strong and healthy life on. The goal is to encourage 1 million people by the time I turn 50. So I'm 43 right now. I have 7 more years. And I just try every day to reach one person at a time. But if I reach one person and they reach 5 people and they each reach 5 people, and the beauty of multiplication. The way I got the idea to encourage 1 million people before I turned 50 is I was 40 years old. I was turning 40. And all of a sudden, I realized that I had done so many things with my voice for other people. I had written a book in someone else's name. My email was in someone else's name. And I had started using my voice to encourage people on our business page. And all of a sudden, everybody started saying to my husband, "Wow, you're such an encourager." And when people started saying that to him and he was like, "Oh, no, not really, that's my wife," I realized that I had a voice. And it took 40 years for me to figure out that encouraging people is one of my gifts. That's when I started really narrowing down, this is a gift that I have to offer to the world, and it's something that I can give to people. As you get older, you kind of dig deeper into the layers of who you are, and your experiences reveal more about you, and you learn more about yourself. And, you know, when I realized I was 42, I was also kind of like, I might be too late. Like, I might be too old to begin something new. But then I said, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. So I set out on social media to say one encouraging thing every day for 365 days. I just asked myself, could I do it? Could I have enough inside me to pour out for 1 year? And I'll see at the end of 1 year if I have enough to pour out, and if I don't. It's been 4 years now, but you know, that was the starting point of going, you know, I think that it's okay to start something anytime. Whether you're 40 or 60 or 80 and you have a passion about something, I think it's okay to be curious. I think one of the most impactful things that I went to that kind of impacted the way that I think about thinking was when I went through a really serious time of depression and anxiety. And so I had the worst anxiety. I could not even leave my house. And I had a little, you know, Miranda was like 3. It was a long, long time ago. And to take her to the park was a nightmare for me. I mean, I would be in tears. And Damien, I remember one time he said, "Come out on our driveway and look at the full moon." And it took everything I had to go out of my house onto my own driveway I felt like my feet were like claws, like clawing into the concrete just to go outside, because I was so overwhelmed with fear and anxiety and all those kinds of things. I was kind of like trapped in my own head. And so the more that I began to learn about the power of thinking, you know, Dr. Caroline Leaf says this thing. She said, if you knew the power of a negative thought, you would never have another one again. The beautiful thing I found out is that the more I talked about it, the more people would say, you know what, I went through that when I was your age, or I'm going through that right now. And the more I talked about it, the more resources I found for people that had also going through that, and I could draw on them, I could understand. So, you know, I felt like I was the only one that was having panic attacks. But when I started talking about it, I started to find out, you know, there's a lot of people that are also having panic attacks, and we can get through this together. And so that's one reason that I'm really open about struggles on Life Builders, is because when we share our story, it helps other people. And you have to sometimes really dig deep. Like, I didn't talk about that for a long time because I didn't feel like it was a significant part of my life, an important part of my life. But then I started realizing, wait a minute, we have to dig deep into those places of pain, because sometimes those are the stories. They're going to help someone else more than just the everything's right stories. But I think going through that made me realize how important the state of our mind is in where we're going and where we want to get to to be honest, I think I started changing my mindset back then in small ways, but I didn't realize it. So I would have to learn how to not focus on the fear. If I was feeling afraid, I would have to learn how to focus on whatever I was grateful for. I think that's the beginning, like the very seeds of it. But I think it was probably about 4 years ago. I think the first book I read about it was Dr. Caroline Leaf's Switch on Your Brain. And I did not realize that your thoughts affect you down to your DNA, down to the shape of your DNA. So negative thoughts make your DNA all shriveled and small, and they're not full. But when you think positive thoughts, the chemicals that are released make your DNA full and robust. And that's when I really was like, oh wow, this can change my life. And then keeping a gratitude journal changed my life. I think that's the big one. Every night I have a journal and I write down 2 or 3 bullet points about what I'm grateful for. I think that changes the way that you look at the world, because instead of just going through the day like I would before, like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to hang on through this day, it changes what you're looking for. And so you see the world differently. If you are struggling and you're finding that, wow, I maybe have this really negative thought pattern, I'm not sure how to break it, I want to move forward, but I don't know how to do it, I would say the first thing that you have to do is interrupt the cycle. You notice that sometimes we have told ourselves the negative things so long that we actually believe them. And sometimes they're not even true anymore, but we have soaked ourselves in it so much that we actually believe it. And so the first thing I would do if I was struggling with a negative thought pattern, and this is what I do to myself, what I have to do is I have to catch myself saying it, so I have to notice it first. So pay attention. If you're, for instance, having this thought and you're thinking, wow, I'm so fat, or I'm so ugly, or I'm so whatever, we need to catch that thought, and as soon as we notice that we're doing it, we have to replace it with something different. So instead of saying, I'm so fat, what if we just acknowledge, what if we just said, this is where I am right now. This is me. We just say, this is where I'm at, and if I want to do something different, then this could be a starting point, but here's the main point. There are so many more important things about you than the number on the scale. The number on the scale doesn't tell me anything about you. It doesn't tell me how smart you are. It doesn't tell me how kind you are. It doesn't tell me how amazing you are, how gifted, how talented, and that you're a masterpiece and that no one else is like you on the entire planet. The number on the scale does not tell me that about you. And so what we have to do is arrest those thoughts and just take a moment and say, you know what? This is what I'm going to say to myself. I'm going to say, I'm a masterpiece and I'm a work in progress. And it's okay to be both things at the same time. And this is me, and I am so much more than what's going on this number right now. There is no one and has never been anybody on the planet like you, and there will never be anybody on the planet like you. So it's really important that we each live our fullest and that we each use the gifts and talents that we have to affect the world, whether it's in small ways or big ways. You just take one step at a time, and that's how you get to the next place. So whether it is just one action step of doing research on something that you want to do, whatever you're curious about, you just follow that one step at a time, and it's going to take you to some amazing places. So what I want to say to you is, we need you. I need you to be your best self, because I need what you have, and I need all that's inside of you, and I need you to be your best, and you need me too. We're all connected together, and if I'm not giving my best, then it's going to affect your world, and if you're not giving your best, it's going to affect my world. So I just want you to know that you are special, you are a masterpiece, you're beautiful, and you're valuable, and you have so much inside of you to give to the world that really does change the world in ways that you don't even know.